Okay, in this video, we actually go over a couple of examples on how to solve quadratic equations. Now, let me just point out again, I didn't point it out in the first video. The first thing I want to point out, this handout, these examples that I have here, is the handout that I gave out in class on Wednesday. Now, if you didn't get a copy of the handout, you can find this handout under the notes section in my math lab. So, let's see how you go about solving a quadratic. Here is what's called the factoring method for solving quadratics. First thing you have to do, you always have to take your quadratic and put it in this standard form. Remember, so what's standard form? The standard form is you make the right-hand side or any one of the two sides 0, and you move all the rest of the terms to the other side of the equation. Now, here's the crucial step right here. Here's the word factor. What you're going to do, you're going to factor this left-hand side completely. And once you factor the left-hand side completely, then you use the zero product theorem to solve the equation. Well, let's go ahead and illustrate that in these two examples. So the first example here is x squared minus 9x plus 20 equals 0. Notice that it's already in this standard form up here. So what I have to do now, I just have to figure out what kind of polynomial I have over here on the left-hand side. Well, that polynomial right there is, as it says right here, a simple trinomial. Well, let's see. Capital B is equal to negative 9. Capital C is 20. So, no, I'm sorry, capital C is positive 20. Since C is positive, I know that the numbers that I'm looking for have to have the same sign. What sign? The same as B. So notice that I start off by putting minus signs here. And not only that, I have an X here and an X here because it's a simple trinomial. So the game is to find two numbers that when you multiply together they give you 20 and they add up to 9. And the numbers, of course, are 4 and 5. So notice I factor the left-hand side. The right-hand side is just equals 0. So now I have either x minus 4, I'm sorry, I have x minus 4 times x minus 5 equals 0. So by the zero product theorem, either x minus 4 has to be 0 or the x minus 5 has to be 0. It's very easy, two easy linear equations to solve. All I do is take the 4, move it to the other side, and I get x equals 4. Take the 5, move it to the other side, and I get x equals 5. So the solution set contains the numbers 4 and 5. Very simple quadratic equation to solve is already in standard form. Now, the second example here, notice how this one is not written in these, I'm sorry, in standard form. So I have to place it in standard form. So what I'm going to do, it doesn't matter which side I pick. I'm going to pick the right-hand side. I have to make this right-hand side 0. The way I accomplish that, I take the x squared, subtract it from both sides, or move it to the other side if you want to call it that, and move the 2x to the other side as well. When you do that, this is what you end up with. You got 2x squared minus 3x minus 6. That's the original left-hand side. Now I'm subtracting x squared and negative 2x. Subtracting x squared and subtracting 2x. Notice that I get 0 on the right. And when you take the x squared, 2x squared, and combine it with the x squared, that leaves you x squared. When you take the negative 3x and subtract 2x, since the signs are the same, that gives you a negative 5x. And of course, we have this constant right in here, which I just bring down like that. So this equation that's sitting right here, this is a quadratic equation in standard form. So now I look at this left-hand side. Again, it's a simple trinomial. This time, notice that B is negative 5 and capital C is negative 6. Since C is negative, the signs have to be opposite, and we know that the larger number has to have this sign, so the larger number has to be negative. The two numbers that I'm looking for are going to be 6 and 1. So we get one of the factors is x minus 6, the other factor is x plus 1. Notice that I still have it set equal to 0. So by the zero product theorem, either x minus 6 is going to equal 0 or x plus 1. And again, as before, very simple linear equations to solve. I move the 6 to the other side. That gives me x equals 6. Move the 1 to the other side, and that gives me x equals negative 1. Subtract 1 from both sides, add 6 to both sides. So you get the two solutions, positive 6 and negative 1. So they go in the solution set. Remember, practice making the little braces. You enclose the numbers in the braces. So there's two examples. The next video will have another example worked out on it. This is example number 7 on the bottom. Okay.